Here is a typical kit of air cushions, and we're using our own product for the obvious reason that we know this better than anybody else's product. But basically, any air cushion today is going to be somewhat similar to this design if it's going to be any good at all. A kit of cushions will likely contain 4 very high lift, high powered cushions, which you see there in the back of the picture, and these are connected via a valve block to a powerful compressor. You see that the set comes complete with enough hoses to space the cushions over a 54-foot trailer. There's a lot of argument going on at the moment as to whether you need 5 cushions to handle one of these new 54-foot trailers. I'm of the opinion that you don't. If you use 2 pairs of straps, 4 big cushions should do. But this is something that you will have to decide for yourself. After all, there does come a point, as we'll see later in this film, where if you go out to a really badly smashed 54-foot trailer that cannot be lifted with 4 cushions and 4 straps, then perhaps it's better you unload it and don't waste time trying to lift it. This is the sort of decision that you must make as the owner of the air cushions and with all your background experience to draw on. So here's our kit: 4 high lifts, 2 starters, compressor, valve block and hoses, and we are ready, in fact, to go out to work. But before we do so, we must just go through a short classroom period so that when I give you a commentary later in the film on how to use these cushions under various circumstances, you will know which pieces I am referring to. Bear in mind that the Safe Lift cushions, those with the black stripes, work at £10 per square inch, whereas every other cushion on the market works at only 7. So there may be a big difference when I talk about capacities. If you are using some of our competitors' products, they will be somewhat less than ours. So now to the classroom. This is exactly what you're going to see as you arrive at your rollover. The first thing you have to do is to inspect during your walk round the underside of the trailer as far as you can, because this determines where you're going to place your air cushions to start with and to follow through as the job progresses. In other words, try to find out where the load is bulging out from the side of the trailer and place your cushions as nearly as you can at the edge of these bulges. Should you find that the trailer does not have any apparent bulges, then you will have to look for the strongest parts, which are usually the rear doors and or the front end, and if there's a side door in the trailer, may well be the frame around the side door is another good strong point. So we've decided that the strong point of this trailer is the rear end around the doors where there is a heavy frame, and it will be comparatively simple to either lift the rear end of the trailer with a wrecker a few inches, and I repeat, a few inches only off the ground to avoid the rivets giving way, or you can start at the front end of the trailer if it's a reefer, where the curve of the corner allows you to put a starter cushion underneath. The easiest way to start this trailer up on its way is to use the 2 starters as I've shown here, one on the roof side and one at the end of the doors, so that you are in fact making a double first lift. And I emphasize that this first lift need not be more than about 3 inches, and the normal trailers will flex this much without any problem at all. We're always being asked how you can do the first lift, and speaking as a recovery man from way back, if there's any way that I could avoid doing it with air cushions, then I would. By that I mean that it's much easier to use a wrecker if you have one, and you can get a grip on the trailer to make the first lift, as you see here, by laying a nylon strap from the rear axle around this corner. you don't have to get it under the top, which more than likely be on the ground, but there's usually a gap under here. And then you can just lift this trailer 2 or 3 inches with the wrecker, so that in fact you can then easily slide your starter cushion underneath, so, and inflate it, and then release your strap. That is the simple way of doing it, using the wrecker on the top side. Now supposing you can't get to the top side with the wrecker, then we have to follow a different method. There are 2 ways that you can lift up a trailer from the back end. The simplest way is to insert a starter cushion under the rear, just below the roof, where there should be a gap, under here. At the same time, putting another starter cushion on the top corner of the roof, and it's more than likely you won't get more than half the cushion underneath. But that's good enough, because if you only lift 3 inches, then you can slide your bigger cushion in right here. Supposing this is truly not possible, and 1 in 20 cases the trailer may be absolutely flat in the road, then you must come to this side. You will normally find a space between the tyres and the ground. So insert 2 starter cushions as far as you can underneath the axles of the tyres. Lift on these 2 about 6 inches. This causes the trailer to tip backwards this way. Take a wood block and place it under the stout member round the doors, just this side of the centre line, and then let these starter cushions down, and the trailer will tip this way, making a gap on the far side at the top. Okay. If it is a reefer or a trailer that has curved front corners, then you will be able to place 1 starter under the front corner, perhaps only half its width, but that's good enough, and another one on the top side, as I've shown here. Then if you will lift just again 3 inches, you will then be able to start your lift with the bigger cushions by starting with the cushion right next door to it at that point there. So we would move along the trailer, installing the cushions for the first complete lift. Each of the jumbo cushions has a vertical lift of 20,000 pounds minimum at 9 pounds per square inch. Therefore, the 4 cushions, as you see here, have a vertical lift of 80,000 pounds and a rolling lift, which is in fact what we're doing here by rolling the trailer onto its wheels, of well over 120,000 pounds. So there is more than adequate strength, and it's unlikely you'll see the pressure on the gauges go over 5 pounds at any time. Our first lift has to be made with these cushions pushing the trailer up only 6 to 12 inches, and try at all times to keep the pressure equal on the gauges so that the trailer rises levelly and not with any bending moment caused by over or under inflation of any one particular cushion. It is unlikely, knowing all the problems you'll meet and the conditions under which these trailers roll over, that you'll be able to get the cushions right underneath. So get them as far as you can in the approximate positions that I've shown, and start to inflate the trailer until it is about 2 feet high. And it is at this point of 2 foot in height where we connect up the nylon straps. With the straps hooked to the tow truck and the operator taking up the slack, and I emphasize not winching but just taking up slack, then you are now in a position to start inflating the cushions. You must ensure that the recovery straps never come between the top of the cushion and the load to be lifted, or when the strain comes on the straps they will stretch and pull the cushion out, and you may well lose the trailer.